Imagine waking up tomorrow with complete control over every word you speak, every emotion you feel, every dollar you spend, and every thought that crosses your mind. Sounds impossible, but over 2,000 years ago, there was a man who not only believed this was possible, he proved it. His name was Epictetus, and he was born a slave. Let that sink in. He had no control over his body, no freedom of movement, no say in his circumstances. He was owned by another person. Yet somehow this man discovered something so powerful it transformed him from a physical slave into one of the greatest teachers of self-mastery, self-discipline, and mental freedom in human history. He taught, "No one can hurt you without your permission." Most of us today are not physically enslaved, but many of us are trapped by our own uncontrolled words, our unchecked emotions, our unconscious spending habits, and the negative thoughts we allow to live rent-free in our minds. We say things we immediately regret. We let our moods destroy entire days. We spend money we don't have on things we don't need, and we allow our minds to spiral into fear and self-doubt without ever questioning whether we have to. This is the real discipline problem, not the absence of willpower, but the absence of self-awareness. The Stoics understood something about self-control and mental strength that modern psychology is only now beginning to confirm. Real wealth is not measured in dollars. It is measured in self-discipline. Real power is not about controlling others. It is about mastering yourself. And true freedom is not having endless choices. It is making the right choices consistently every single day. Today, we are going deep into the 4 pillars of Stoic self-mastery: mouth, mood, money, and mind. These are not just life lessons, they are the ancient wisdom that built the most powerful minds in Roman history. And they are more relevant to modern life than anything you will find in a self-help book written this decade. Let's begin. Master your mouth. The first pillar of Stoic self-discipline is the one most people never think about: controlling what comes out of your mouth. Every word you speak is either building or destroying the person you are becoming. This is not motivational language. This is ancient wisdom confirmed by modern psychological science. The words you speak consistently become the beliefs you hold. The beliefs you hold become the identity you live. Seneca, one of Rome's greatest Stoic philosophers, spent years observing the power of speech in the Roman Senate. He watched careers built and destroyed with single sentences. He saw friendships shattered by careless words and alliances formed through thoughtful communication. But his most profound insight came not from watching others, it came from watching himself. Think about the last time you said something in anger that you immediately regretted. In that moment, your words escaped before your self-control could catch them. That is not honesty, that is impulse disguised as expression, and impulse has destroyed more relationships, careers, and reputations than any external enemy in history. The Stoics developed a simple but powerful practice: the deliberate pause. Before speaking in any emotionally charged situation, they asked 3 questions. Is it true? Is it necessary? Does it serve anyone here? If the answer to any was no, they remained silent, not out of weakness, out of absolute self-discipline. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Be like the rocky headland on which the waves constantly break. It stands firm, and round it the seething waters are laid to rest." In a world of reactive communication, your controlled speech becomes a source of strength that people cannot explain but cannot stop responding to. This is emotional intelligence in its most practical form, not managing your feelings after the fact, but choosing your words before they leave your mouth. Every time you keep a verbal promise, you build self-trust. Every time you refuse to gossip, you reclaim mental energy. Every time you speak with intention instead of impulse, you cast a vote for the person you're choosing to become. Your mouth is the gateway between your inner world and the outer world. Master this gateway, and you master the first pillar of Stoic self-discipline. Master your mood. Most people live their emotional lives completely at the mercy of external circumstances. Someone is rude, their day is ruined. Plans change, their mood collapses, a single piece of bad news, hours of mental spiral. This is the opposite of Stoic emotional mastery, and it is costing people their mental strength, their relationships, and their ability to think clearly under pressure. Viktor Frankl, a psychologist who survived Nazi concentration camps, made a discovery that echoes Stoic wisdom with remarkable precision. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space, is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. That space is where emotional intelligence lives. That space is where self-control is practiced. That space is where mental toughness is built, not in the absence of difficulty, but in the deliberate choice of how to respond to it. Here is the truth about your emotions that Stoic philosophy has taught for 2,000 years, and that modern psychology now confirms: your emotions are not facts, they are interpretations. When someone does not respond to you, the situation is completely neutral. Your mind creates the story around it. The anger, the anxiety, the hurt, those are not caused by the event. They are caused by the meaning you assign to the event in the seconds after it happened. The Stoics called this the discipline of judgment, separating what actually happened from the story you told yourself about what happened. A fact is, it is raining. A story is, this rain is ruining my day. Master that distinction, and your emotional state stops being controlled by external circumstances entirely. Marcus Aurelius practiced this as a daily Stoic habit. Every single morning, he would remind himself that the day ahead would bring difficult people, unexpected setbacks and moments of frustration, and he chose in advance how he would respond to each of them. Not denial, preparation. That is the difference between emotional reactivity and genuine emotional control. When you develop this daily Stoic practice, your mood becomes an instrument you play, not a storm that plays you. You become the calm center in other people's chaos, and in both relationships and professional life, that emotional mastery is worth more than almost any other skill you could develop. Master your mood. It is the second pillar of Stoic self-mastery. Master your money. Seneca was one of the wealthiest men in the entire Roman Empire, yet he wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor." This was not theoretical Stoic philosophy, he lived it. Despite his immense wealth, he regularly practiced voluntary discomfort, sleeping on the floor, eating simple meals, to remind himself that his happiness, his mental strength, and his sense of freedom did not depend on luxury. That is a level of self-discipline with money that most people in the modern world have never even considered. Here is the honest truth about money and self-control that most people spend their entire lives avoiding. If you cannot control your spending, you cannot control your life. Every financial decision you make is either building your freedom or building your slavery. There is no neutral purchase. When you buy something because you are sad, bored, anxious, or trying to impress people, money is controlling you. When you buy something because it genuinely serves your growth or helps you serve others better, you are controlling money. The Stoics called this preferred indifference. Money is better to have than not have, but the moment it becomes the source of your emotional decisions, it has become your master. And a Stoic mindset demands that nothing external ever becomes your master. Think about your last impulse purchase. In that moment, what were you actually trying to buy? The item itself, or a feeling? Status, comfort, excitement, belonging? The self-discipline lesson the Stoics teach about money is this: learn to get the feeling without spending first. Because most of the time when you examine the impulse honestly, you discover you never needed the purchase at all. Stoic money mastery is not about deprivation. It is about alignment. When your spending reflects your actual values, you stop feeling guilty about money. When you stop making decisions from guilt and scarcity, you start building real financial freedom. That is the personal growth and mindset transformation that no budgeting app has ever produced, because it starts in the mind, not the spreadsheet. Master your money. It is the third pillar of Stoic self-discipline. Master your mind. Your mind is like a garden. Every thought you allow to stay is a seed you are planting. The harvest you reap, your confidence, your emotional state, your results, will be the direct product of the thoughts you are choosing to water today. Right now, thousands of thoughts are competing for your attention. Worries about tomorrow, regrets from yesterday, judgments about yourself, other people, your circumstances. Most people live their entire lives as passive observers of this mental chaos, never developing the self-discipline to question whether they have to. Epictetus taught, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. But he was not just talking about material wealth. He was talking about mental wealth, the freedom that comes from not needing every passing thought to occupy your attention. You would not let strangers walk into your house and rearrange your furniture, yet every day you allow random thoughts, fear, self-doubt, comparison, resentment to walk into your mind and rearrange your entire emotional state. A single negative thought spiral can derail your mental strength for an entire day if you give it permission to stay. The Stoic practice of mental toughness begins with refusing that permission. The Stoics developed a daily Stoic practice called prosocia, constant self-attention, vigilant monitoring of your own thoughts in real time, more like being a disciplined security guard for your own mind. Deciding which thoughts get access to your attention and which ones get turned away before they can take root. Every time you catch yourself in a negative thought spiral, stop. Ask the Stoic question: is this thought moving me toward the person I'm trying to become or away from them? Is this mental habit building my self-discipline or eroding it? If it is not serving your growth, replace it. This is not toxic positivity. This is mental toughness training, and like all training, it compounds over time. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make it." He understood that while he could not control the Roman Empire's enemies, the political intrigue, or even his own mortality, he had absolute sovereignty over his mental kingdom. That inner sovereignty, that Stoic self-discipline of the mind, was the only freedom that ever truly and permanently mattered. Master your mouth, master your mood, master your money, master your mind. These four pillars of Stoic self-discipline are not separate practices. They are four expressions of the same ancient truth, that the only real and lasting power any human being has ever possessed is the power over themselves. Epictetus proved it from the lowest position in Roman society. Marcus Aurelius proved it from the highest. The circumstances were completely opposite. The Stoic practice was exactly the same. You are not a victim of your words, your emotions, your finances, or your thoughts. You are their author. Every single day you have the power to write a different story. The mindset transformation you are looking for does not begin when your circumstances change. It begins the moment you decide that your inner world is worth mastering, regardless of what the outer world is doing. That decision right now is where your self-mastery begins. Stay stoic.